G'day, my name's Adam Wallace. I'm a first year aircraft maintenance engineer out here at Brisbane. And this is my 1985 G11 Charade naturally aspirated. I'll keep it short because it's 32 degrees out here in Brisbane, but I'm hoping to give you a bit of a build rundown, some plans and where I'm at so far with this Charade, so in future I can make a bit of a build log and keep along a bit of a up to speed on where I'm at so that I can continue with more logs. So a bit about the car. It's a 1985 model, 3-cylinder, 1 litre. I picked it up for $1,800 out here at Brizzy. I believe it's 3 owners, including me, 185-ish thousand Ks. Nothing really done to it, nothing really wrong with it either. But I'll bring you in for a bit of a walk around the car and show you the little things I'm doing so far and things that I want to do to it in the future. I haven't really thought of a name yet. So far I've called it Delilah, or the poor man's starlet. I'll get to why it's going to be called like a poor man's starlet in a minute, but let's bring you in for a bit of a walk around. So under the bonnet, these cars are nothing fancy. It's a 3-cylinder, 1 litre, as is from the factory. It's a carby. I believe they make about 40 horsepower from factory, but I doubt it makes that at its current stage. Haven't done much underneath here. I did paint the battery tray, and underneath there it's a different shade of red because, as usual, the battery tray was completely rusted out. Outside of that, it's roadworthy, it's all it needs to be, and it's reliable. Moving on from the engine bay, one of the first things I did was painting the front bumpers and grille surrounds as they were aging, and they weren't cracked or anything, but I just wanted that nice paint. So I used some Montana or MTN paints from Super Cheap. I used their bumper sparkle color. I think it came out pretty well. It looks like a normal sort of bumper. It's a single step, no primer, nitrate paint. So we'll see how it fares, but I think they look pretty good so far. While I was at it, I also did the rear bumper, to bring it all together. And while we're at the rear of the car, excuse my number plates and P plates, we have a aftermarket set of Nava reverse lights. The original ones had blown a bulb, and my plan for this car is to have LEDs anyway, so they were $60, and I think they came out pretty alright. The next thing on the list was these steel wheels. Now these are 4.5J, absolutely tiny. I think they're a 165 Chinese tire. They got plenty of grip for what this thing needs, weighing I think 690 kilos. So I painted them white with some wattle gloss white. It's a good paint that we have down here in Australia. The heavy duty primer underneath. I should have put some Penetrol in this steel in that gap to stop them rusting, but I think they turned out pretty alright, and worst case, I just don't want them to rust. So the gloss white I think does bring it together. If we move in closer, I 3D printed, which I won't be able to remove, these covers for the wheel nuts. A bit grandma spec, but it's a lot better than the ugly wheel nuts that would have been underneath. Interior wise, it's pretty standard. We've got some seat covers, a SAS aftermarket steering wheel. The Boss kit actually came on this car when I bought it. However, I've put in a horn button and this nice suede steering wheel. That horn button is brand new, but it is already broken and melted. So I'll have to revise that design. It's just a simple J-car button with some 3D printed bezels. The interior is mostly stripped out. All the door cards are off because they'll be getting an aluminium item with some little pull straps and like some pull loops. We've got AstroTurf floor mats, and right now I'm in the middle of putting a little aluminium footrest down there. Another mod that I did pretty recently was these rally dog ear mud flaps. That's in preparation for some of the autocross events that I plan to do. We'll see how they go. They're 3mm of rubber. I doubt that that's thick enough, but they don't seem to deflect at around 60 k's an hour, so that's good enough for me. Another bit that I'm working on currently is these mirrors. Now, They too have a 3D printed PLA bezel that hasn't melted yet, but I'll likely go to a grey PET G. They're a CNC bar end mirror for a motorcycle, all aluminium. It's got a screw on the inside that bolts into a spacer and a mudguard washer on the other side of the fender. And they bolt in nicely, and you can see quite a fair bit out of them. Now, to complement the fender mirrors, I've made up these blanking plates that should just slot in there. They follow the contour of the door and cover up the original backing. These should go in there. I'm planning on doing Sikaflex and a bit of molding down the bottom there to fix that gap and that water intrusion point. They're all roughed up on the backside, so hopefully the Sikaflex sticks to aluminium. Apparently it's supposed to be good at doing that. But yeah, that's the current project. To sum up the cool little mirrors, you can see quite a lot. I haven't tested them on the highway yet because I've only just taken off these mirrors, but they should be pretty cool. Let's head inside and I'll show you one of the coolest mods that I've done to this car so far. Ooh, is it hot in here? It's been sitting in the sun all day, roasting away. I really should get a car cover for this thing. But we'll stick the ignition on. And there you go. That is one of the funniest things I've ever done to a car. But that is a DTM BTCC V8 supercar style of mono windscreen wiper. I changed the length of the links around on the inside where the wiper motor is, so it's all done legitimately. I did have some footage on how that was done, but to summarize, you just have to cut and shut and weld some of the linkages on the motor side so that the wiper moves further. You can do that in CAD, or you can draw it out in angles, etc, etc. So that is actually completely legal, which I think is pretty cool. It's mostly for gimmicks, but like, you know, that just looks kind of funny and sick. I love it. Also on the interior, we have a sweet 3D printed gear knob. This is just internally threaded. It may be getting a bit too hot in here for these 3D printed items. As I said, that mirror, that horn has since snapped off. Oh, and that is bloody hot. It's almost burning my fingers. So that's a bit of an issue we have in here in Australia. Moving on to the door cards, like I said before too, rev nuts in every single trim clip location so I can just bolt on the aluminium panels. Might 3D print new wiper things and winder things. And these latches will get replaced with like a little pull cable. So that should be really cool. So we've moved back inside to my messy as ever workspace. I've just got a little, what would you say, 3 meters by 3 meters underneath the house where I can kind of dedicate to myself and fabrication, all that kind of thing. I do have quite a number of tools at my disposal to use on this vehicle. But I'd just like to go and touch on the overall plans for the Charade as it sits out there, baking in the sun. There's no way you want to be out there right now. But the plans are, as I touched on that KP61 starlet kind of idea. The underneath lends itself very similar to an AE86. The front suspension is the anti-roll bar intersecting the track control, lower control arms like a Ford Escort, AE86, most budget compact cars. So my plan there is to adapt AE86 front suspension in, lower control arms I can custom make, etc, with tension rods, similar to a Ford Escort setup, all bolted in, engineered, road legal, etc. We move to the rear of the car. They're actually 4-link underneath, which I think is incredible. It's just like a trailer axle or the boat axle thing, I don't know. A straight piece of pipe with 2 spindles on the end of it with 4 links and a panhard bar. And I think that's just crying for like a Toyota diff or like an R31 style Borg Warner 78 series or something like that. LSD from factory if you go with the R31, bunch of ratios. So that's my idea for the back end there, fully road legal, fully engineered. With that, I now have to make the car wider, so I might be able to get away with doing a wide body on it. I like the Quattro style, WRC styles, so that would be sick with the suspension if I can get it road legal. Because here in Queensland, I think it's 12.5mm each side track width increase, which is, you can do that with offset of your wheels. So the only way to get a wide body is if you make your wheels this wide, and I have no intentions of running above a 185 or a 205 for instance. So any way that I can increase the track width to standard R31 size, 1440mm, which is actually the rear track width on the Group B version of a G11 that got produced. I think they were homologated, so the law might be in my favour there. Now this all sounds pretty silly if you're not from Queensland or from Australia really, but I hope to touch on the engineering laws and requirements and stuff as we go through here. Moving to the engine, as well, I mean, I hope you've seen Camp Dogs recently. They're a great Australian channel pioneering a 4E FE starlet motor. I mean, everyone's been doing them for years, but these little iron block 1.3s, they're a small engine. They seem to take a lot of boost when they're standard, and in Australia we actually have a significant aftermarket without it being too crazy expensive, like SRs and other larger 4 cylinders. Let alone a 6 would never fit in that. So I did toy around with a rotary, but I feel like the Toyota with the Daihatsu, the 1.3, I can get these engines for 500 bucks. It should go all together pretty nicely. In terms of a gearbox, I'm thinking a ZF S3, 310, 320, 31Z, BMW E30, E46, 5-speed manual gearbox. 4.5 to 1 first gear, which holy shit, that is low, and a 1 to 1 fifth gear. So real nice choppy short ratios, and I believe with the Borg Warner diff, I can also go into a 2.5 all the way up to a 411 diff ratio. So with those two parts alone, I have quite a bit of tuning, as well as aftermarket support with the BMWs as well. So I feel like that should go together pretty well. So that's the overall gist of the car. I've got coming up some fiberglass that I hope to do. I'm not really looking at wheels or anything crazy yet. The 4x110 limits me to Mazda hot wires, which I wouldn't be opposed to, but it's not really on the cards given that I want to modify it. But we've got some fiberglass coming up. We've got some aluminium door cards. They'll be going in with some 3D prints. That's going to be pretty sick. These mirror deletes are going on. That'll be real nice. Paint. We'll talk about painting at a later date. Bonnet pins, rally prep, Queensland engineering laws, because there's no real information on any of that. I've got a bucket seat that we're going into, so I've got some content there for rally prepping for like club level autocross events in Australia. No cage, you know, just how it goes, join a club, licensing. I can do all the information on that kind of stuff as well. So I think coming up in the next 12 months, it should be more racing, building, just kind of enjoying the car as it is until I get to the point where I rear wheel drive convert this front wheel drive Nugget. So I hope you've enjoyed this little overview. It's quick and much rambling. I don't really know what I'm going on about. I'm just a first year turbine mechanic, but with a decent background in engineering and TAFE, etc., I really like this car. So to cut the rambling short, thank you for watching. I hope this entices you to follow this build. I think now that I've decided, we're going to call it Delilah, the poor man's KP61 Starlet, square headlights, rear wheel drive, you get the idea.